welcome to my channel. This is Makeup by Mackenzie and I am Mackenzie, obviously. So today on my channel we're going to be talking about something a little bit personal, but it's something that I've been wanting to share with you guys. Just a little bit of a trigger warning first. I'm going to be talking about mental illness and kind of my struggles with it. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that in advance, which you can probably tell by the title of this video what I'm going to be talking about. So for the past few years I've been struggling with something called Trichotillomania, or commonly known as trich, and that is basically a compulsive disorder in which you pull out your hair. And for some people it can manifest it in that they pull out the hair on their scalp. Some people pull out their eyebrows or their eyelashes. Some people pull out their body hair. For me, I pull out my eyelashes mostly, and sometimes I pull out my eyebrows. But for some reason I have had an easier time stopping myself from pulling out my eyebrows, and I'm not entirely sure why. For some people, trich is brought on by other mental illnesses like depression or anxiety. For some people, it's triggered by stress or boredom. For me, it's mostly stress and sometimes boredom, but mostly stress. And it's something that comes with a lot of embarrassment and shame. Because I think people, including myself, a lot of people think that they're weird or that they're abnormal. People will look at them or treat them differently if they, don't have hair, or if they don't have eyebrows, or if they don't have eyelashes. That's a real fear. People who have trichotillomania are very concerned about what other people will think of them, including me. That's something that I'm always a little bit concerned about. In fact, I find myself avoiding eye contact with people because I'm worried that they'll see it, particularly if it's somebody that I have feelings for. So later in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some makeup tips and tricks for doing your makeup when you have trich. But first, I want to kind of talk about some of my experiences with trich and some of the things that I have tried and experimented with, and what I've learned about myself from it. So the first time I noticed that my trich was a problem was my sophomore year of college, and it was October of 2014. I know that because I remember it being around Halloween, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to wear for my Halloween costume that year. And suddenly I realized I had this huge gap in my eyelashes. It was, for the first time, I had a gap, like a noticeable gap in my eyelashes. And I was suddenly like, maybe this is something that I should be concerned about. And when you have something like this, you start to kind of be really introspective, trying to figure out what might have caused this, why did I start, and I'm pretty introspective naturally as it is, so I've done a lot of thinking about this. I was a pretty confident kid. All throughout middle school, all throughout pretty much most of high school, I was very confident. I didn't really have body image problems. I knew I was smart. I always thought I was pretty, which I still do think I'm pretty, by the way. Then my senior year of high school, I was in a relationship that kind of turned out to be toxic. It was one of those kind of relationships that just slowly, over time, chips away at your confidence, until basically my friends started to notice that something was wrong with me. I remember I had a friend who I actually hadn't known for too long at that point who looked at me straight in the eye and was like, "You're not acting like yourself." And that was when it suddenly hit me that I wasn't acting like myself, and that this relationship was starting to affect me in ways I hadn't even realized. And my friend at the time who told me this didn't know why I was feeling the way that I was feeling, but as soon as he said it, I knew exactly what it was. And so I went from being in that relationship and having low confidence because of it, to going to college. I went to a college out of state, so nobody that I knew went to my college. So I basically felt like I had no friends. So I was starting from scratch, pretty much. I didn't have family in the area. The closest family that I had that was in the area was 4 hours away. That was hard, and I remember for the first time, I was very concerned about what people thought of me. And I think part of it was because, one, I had less confidence than I usually did, and I didn't have any friends, and I was very concerned about getting friends. I was like really, what's really weird is like, I was really concerned that my friends, the friends that I eventually did have in college, I was very concerned that they didn't actually like me, that they just kind of hung out with me because I was there, because I came with my other friends. It wasn't until maybe like 2/3 of the way into my sophomore year of college that one of my friends was like, yeah, everybody thinks you're really cool. And I was like, they do? Everything that I felt about my confidence, about myself, about my body image, comes from me. Nobody in college ever said anything rude to me, ever said anything that should have made me feel the way that I felt. It was all coming from my head, all coming from this lack of confidence that I had. My friends from college are very supportive and still supportive to this day. My confidence was slowly building after my sophomore year of college, but I still had Trich, and with college comes stress of college, and I had there were some stressful times. I'm a pretty happy person, but I don't talk about my feelings a lot, and so a lot of times when I do feel things like stress, I bottle it up, and that eventually has to come out somewhere. And by that point, I had developed Trich, and so that's where my stress was manifesting itself. But I think that college was a little bit of a healing process when it came to my confidence. And my confidence was very incrementally building, and I had a lot more confidence at the end of college than I did at the beginning. But I will say that, I developed, for the first time, I had body issues. I was very concerned about my body. I was very concerned about my appearance, and I'd never felt that way before. After I graduated from college, the year after I graduated was probably the hardest year in my entire life. Now I felt like I had all of this pressure to get a job and to start living my life, and I wasn't. I wasn't able to get a job right away, and I wasn't able to start living my life right away. And my family was all very supportive, but I really felt like I had all this pressure on me, which again came from here. There were people, asking me, do you have a job yet? Where have you applied? That kind of thing. But they weren't doing that in a way that was bullying. They were doing that in a way that was curious. And I always just felt like they were worried about me, like, where is her life going? But I think that's very normal. But that year was hard, and it was stressful. And I had a panic attack at one point during that year. And that took its toll on my eyelashes. That's when I can say that my Trich became a lot worse than it used to be. It used to be pretty manageable, and for the first time I felt like I couldn't wear mascara anymore. And previously, when those quizzes, like a BuzzFeed quiz or something, where you would say like, what's the one makeup item you can't leave the house without, I would always say mascara. And now I can now I say eyeliner. So I to this day still don't wear mascara because I just don't feel like I can. I mean, it's not that I can't, but I feel like the lack of eyelashes would be a lot more noticeable if some of my lashes were like really long and then I had gaps. It would be pretty noticeable that I had gaps. So that's the reason I don't wear mascara anymore. But I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to get back to wearing mascara because I do like mascara. Let me go back real quick. That October, when I realized that I had a significant gap in my eyelashes, I turned to YouTube to figure out how to cover it up. And that's when I discovered makeup tutorials. And I actually discovered Zabrina, who is a makeup YouTuber. She still makes videos, and they're great. They're phenomenal. I highly recommend her. I found her channel, and I really liked her channel, and I really liked watching her videos. And that October, I decided to be a flapper for Halloween, and so I followed her 1920s makeup tutorial as best as I could with the limited amount of makeup I had at the time. But after that, I was hooked on on makeup YouTube videos. I found that with makeup, I was becoming more confident that being able to, one, I guess kind of cover up my trick, but then two, to make me feel confident, to make me look a way that I felt like made me feel pretty and sexy sometimes, was just really empowering. And I fell in love with makeup. So I can honestly say that I probably wouldn't be as into makeup now without Trick. So that's one thing, one silver lining, I guess. I love makeup. Makeup is one of those things that just makes me feel confident, makes me feel like I can take on the day. And I don't feel ugly without it. I'm not saying that I feel ugly without it, but I feel great with it. And I love trying new things. I love being creative. During that year after I graduated from college, that was really, really hard for me. I started my YouTube channel, and I was actually kind of embarrassed about it at first because I didn't have a job at the time. And so now I was really worried that everybody was going to be thinking that this was my plan for life, that I wasn't going to get a real job, that I was just going to do YouTube. And I knew in my head that that was not what was going to happen. And I knew people probably weren't thinking that. But at the same time, I was like, people are thinking that I'm just giving up and that I'm just going to try and do YouTube and get YouTube famous, which was not the plan. It was just something that I'd been thinking about doing because YouTube was where I learned how to do makeup. And so doing my own channel would be kind of like giving back. I did it for me, but I was a little embarrassed about it. And so I didn't really tell people about it at first. You know, people, my friends and stuff would tell me how cool it was. And so it's, you know, it's great to have that support, and my parents were really supportive. My sister was really supportive, which I'm very grateful for. Ever since that year, you know, I got a job, and things have been getting better since then. It's been a healing process, but that year made me realize that one, my trick is not just something that I do. It's something that's triggered by stress. That I need to be an active participant in trying to get rid of it. That's probably not the best way of putting that, but I can't just expect it to go away. It's something that I need to try to help, to try to heal, to try to get better. Ever since then, I've been trying things, and some things are working and some things aren't, but that's okay, and it's a process. Honestly, I can say that I'm happier now than I have been in a long time. That's really exciting. Part of it is my family. Part of it is my friends. Part of it is my job. Part of it is where I'm living. There are parts of it that aren't ideal yet, and there's still a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot that I don't know about the future or what the future will hold. And for the first time in my life, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the uncertainty. There's things that I want to do and I want to achieve, but I'm okay with not knowing how it's going to end up. And that was a huge stressor in my life, was uncertainty. And I'm really happy with where I am right now. So let me talk about some of the things that I have tried. Not everything is going to work for every person, and there's definitely been some things that I've tried that have not worked for me. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try them. The number one thing that has been the most helpful for me is I started a bullet journal. I don't really use it for a lot of other things. There are some lists and stuff that I keep in here. This is my journal, my bullet journal. But the most helpful thing that I have put in here is something that I called my trick tracker. It looks like that. And so I have each month blocked out. And ever since July of 2018, I have been tracking what I call no pull days, or days that I don't pull out any eyelashes. And so as you can see, in the month of July, there were only 4 no pull days. We're in March now, and as you can see, both February and March, most of the days are no pull days. And I'm really proud of that. You can really see a huge difference with the number of pull days. You can see a huge jump, you know, like a steady increase in no pull days. And I'm I'm really excited about that. That's when I was preparing to do this video, I was thinking about the things that I wanted to talk about. This was one of those things, and so I opened this up, and that day was really hard. That wasn't a no-pull day, and it gets really easy to beat yourself up about it. It's really easy to get down and just be like, this is never gonna end. I'm never gonna get rid of this. I opened my bullet journal because it's one of those things that I wanted to talk about, and I turned to this page, and suddenly I saw how much progress I have made. And it helped. Try not to cry. I'm not gonna cry. It helped. It helped a lot. I immediately felt better. And that's what the point of this is. The point of this is, one, to help you keep track of the progress you're making, but then so that you can look back and you can see the progress and you can remind yourself, yes, not every day is a no-pull day. I'm gonna have some bad days, but there have been a lot more good days than there have been bad days recently, and I have made so much progress. From July of 2018 to March of 2019, I can say that there are more no-pull days in a month than there are pull days. And that's awesome. So that's one thing that's been really helpful for me, and taking it step by step, day by day, is really, really important. And not beating yourself up over the days that may have been a little bit bad. That's been huge. Another thing that's really great is having things to do with your hands. Things that when you suddenly realize that you're pulling, that you can easily grab and start doing something else. So fidget spinners, fidget cubes, things like that are great to keep around. I have a fidget cube that I keep at my desk in my office, so that if any time I'm not doing anything with my hands, or I'm noticing that I'm tending to touch my eyelashes, I will grab that and I'll just start flicking around with it. Another thing that's really helpful is trying to be healthier. I'm trying to do a more regular exercise schedule. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to drink more water, which, speaking of, I have my water bottle right here. And that really helps. A big part of your mental health is your physical health. And I noticed that the days when I exercise, or the days when I eat healthy, I feel a lot better. I feel happier. And so that's a huge part of keeping your stress down, and keeping my stress down is exercising and eating well, and just taking care of my body in general. Another thing that I've been trying recently that I've been really liking so far is called tapping. And it's basically you tap when you're feeling stressed, or you're feeling like you have the urge to pull. You tap on some acupressure points. So one that I really like is right here, kind of on the meaty part of the side of your hand. And so you can tap. Sometimes you can say stuff to yourself like, even though I have trick, I love and accept myself. And as corny as that sounds, it's really helpful. And you can also tap on those points. Another one is here above your eyebrow, or here below your eye. You can tap on those points, and you can also say the things you're worried about. Like, for example, one thing I might, if I'm really stressed out about a project that I have to do for grad school, I can say something like, I'm worried about all the work I have to do. And I'll move to the next point and be like, I'm worried that I'm not going to get it all done. All of that is really helpful. And I find it, one, takes the energy out of my hands, and two, it helps to say those things. And those acupressure points are meant to tell your brain and your body to relax. So that's one thing that I've found that's pretty helpful and that I really like recently. There are some things that I do that I use to try and help my eyelashes to grow back. Pulling out your eyelashes, pulling out your eyebrows can cause a lot of damage to the follicles. Pulling out your hair as well can cause a lot of damage to the follicles. One thing that I do to kind of try and prevent damage and keep my hair healthy is I take hair, skin, and nails vitamins. I've also just taken plain biotin supplements, and those really help to stimulate hair growth and help to keep the skin and your hair follicles healthy. And I found a significant difference between when I'm not taking them to when I am taking them. Another thing that you can do is there are lash serums that you can use for both your eyelashes and your eyebrows, but a lot of those are really expensive, and I don't have the budget to be spending upwards of $50 on lash serums, especially if I'm using them so often. That's a lot of money. One that I really like that works a lot is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Serum. I really like this. This works. At least it has worked for me, and I've noticed a difference using this. And this works really nicely under your makeup, so it's great to use during the day. And I put it on both my eyelashes and my eyebrows. Another thing, what's really most important about lash serums in general is just the moisture, keeping your eyelashes and your eyebrows and your hair follicles moisturized, because that stimulates hair growth. So you can use something like castor oil, and I really like the Jamaican black castor oil, but you can also just get regular castor oil. And I put this on at night. I use a Q-tip and I just smear some on at night. You can also use this on your hair, on your scalp, and it's just really supposed to help moisturize your hair, and that helps it grow longer. So what I'll do is I'll put some of this on at night, and then I'll put some of the Maybelline Lash Serum on in the morning after I take a shower. And the combination of these two works really nicely to make your eyelashes grow faster and longer. So if you just want your eyelashes to grow longer or your eyebrow hairs to grow longer, this is a good option. I learned a lot about doing my makeup from a YouTuber named Carly who goes by Eyeline Her blog here on YouTube, and she does great videos for people who have cancer and have lost all of their hair due to chemo or have lost all of their hair due to alopecia. So she does great tutorials on things like how to give yourself the appearance of a lash line or of lashes, how to apply eyelashes when you don't have any lashes in the first place, how to draw on realistic looking eyebrows, things like that. I highly recommend her videos. She does a great job of explaining and demonstrating how to do stuff like that. I'm gonna do a makeup tutorial on the look that I'm wearing right now with some tips and tricks on how to do makeup with Trick. So without any further ado, let's play with some makeup, shall we?